Welcome to the Deadlifts and Pizza podcast, where we discuss no BS fitness and nutrition.
We're your hosts. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jamie.
Let's get into it.
How's your Tuesday going?
Good.
Did you have date night?
No, my mom couldn't take the kids today. So it was just a normal day.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was your
Cool.
day? Or you just started your day.
I just started my day. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday.
I'm not going to say happy Wednesday.
I will not say that. That's not something I say.
I refuse.
Awesome. Are your kids handing out things for Valentine's Day?
Yeah, we got them some stuff to hand out on Friday.
My kids have off on Friday.
Do they? My kids have all of next week off.
The whole week?
The whole week.
Is that, but you have like that weird, what is it? It's not spring break.
It's winter break. We have a winter break here.
But you had a winter break over the holidays.
Yeah, no, that's Christmas vacation. This is winter break.
How long did they have off for the holiday break? A week?
We only had like a little over a week. You know, it was probably like, I don't know. It depends on when it starts. I don't remember what it was this year, but it really depends on when it, you know, where Christmas is. Yeah. I know you guys have like 2 weeks off, and that's why we break it up, and now we have a winter break. But it just feels like there's never a week where I don't remember the last week where my kids went to school the entire week because either they're sick or there's a half day or a snow day or some random, like the Lunar New Year, like just random days, like a random Wednesday they had off. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. That's how I'm feeling the same way. Like between snow days and random days off for what? Yeah. What are they off for?
Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah, super frustrating. So
but we don't get the Monday after the Super Bowl off. Like that would make sense, but don't give them that day off or anything.
Mine had off that day.
Did they?
They didn't say it was for the Super Bowl. It was like, for teacher training, but all of the military had off and it was for the Super Bowl. So I was like, it's for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, I think it should be a holiday because everybody, you know, does stuff and then it ends late and it just makes sense. You know?
Well, it actually makes more sense here because the Super Bowl is happening on Monday morning. So for people to like stay home and actually watch it.
Yeah, that's true.
I can see the benefit of that if you watch it. But anyway, all right, hit me. What's up? What you got?
I wanted to talk about my workouts because I like doing that. I like talking about working out.
Yeah, what are you doing?
It's a good thing I'm in this field, right? So I'm really liking the power building. You know, I really like that in between, you know. It's making me freaking hungry though. I can't stop eating.
How many exercises per workout? This is something that's been on my mind lately. How many exercises per workout do you have?
It depends on the workout. Legs usually a little less. But normally for me, it's normally like 6 or 7.
Yeah, same.
For a normal
workout. Power building, it's still like 6 or 7-ish?
It might be a little less. Maybe like 5.
I really like when I'm working really hard on a specific lift. And you know, when you do your squats and it's 30 minutes. It takes 30 minutes to do your squat, 30 minutes to do your deadlift because you're just really warming up. You're ramping up. You're taking lots of rest, blah, blah, blah. By the time I've done that, I want to do like 2, maybe 3 more exercises and then I'm pretty toast. I'm done.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Let me see. Let's go to squat day. So I squatted Romanian. It's only 4. Squatted Romanian deadlift, leg extensions, and plank. Yeah,
that feels manageable.
Yeah, and deadlift day is probably like that. Upper body is probably more. Let me see. Bench, row, military press, dips, and curls. So 1, 2,
5.
So 5. Yeah. So this week was hypertrophy week, though. I don't like it as much, but I'm doing the heel elevated back squats like we did in the quad program, where it's a pyramid set and then a back off set at the end. So for the listeners, a pyramid set is where you lower the reps but up the weight each set. So it starts with 10 reps, then goes to 8, and then goes to 6. But each time you're going to up the weight. And then the last set is 15 reps for a back off set. And when you do that, after doing the pyramid set, your legs just fill up. There's just a huge pump that you get. And I felt like my muscles were just going to like pop. Do you ever feel that where they get so full that I'm like, I don't think this is okay? Like, I felt like they were just going to like burst open. Has that ever happened to you?
Not in that, like, I know what you mean, but I never thought to make it like that analogy. That's funny.
Yeah, they feel so tight. Like they're just going to like, there's just so much blood flowing to them. They're just pop open.
It's watermelon crushers.
I think after, and then I did hack squats after that. So it's just so much. And they just kept getting fuller. I think after I'm done, so right now, eating a lot of food in a semi bulk, then I'm going to go into a cut. So when I'm in a cut, there's no reason to focus on, like a ton of volume or building a bunch of muscle because it's not going to happen. So I'll probably do more like power exercises and fun things in there. But then when I'm going to focus more on building muscle again, I think I'm going to focus a little bit on my posterior chain because I feel like my quads, I think it's working. Like I think they're growing and it's going to get uneven. Like I feel like I'm starting to get uneven. I need to work the back a little bit more.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I don't normally do it this way where you focus on one or two muscles and then everything else is at like a lower volume. And that's what I've been doing more recently. And it works. It really makes that one muscle or two.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this in the shower last night, actually. I was like just adding up. I was thinking, if it's 10 to 20 sets per muscle group to really have hypertrophy, but if you're at the higher range of that because you're more advanced, if you're looking to get more like 20 sets per muscle group.
Yeah.
And like really adding up what that looks like, it's unless you want to be working out like every day for like an hour and a half a day.
Yeah.
You can't do that with every muscle.
No.
Especially if you count it like you do, where if it's like you only count it as half, if it's like like so if you were doing like a Romanian deadlift, would you count that equally for glutes and hamstrings, or would one of those be half?
I do. I count it equally for glutes.
So you're thinking more like if it was like a row, you would count biceps for half.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. And so it makes a lot of sense how like, and it's hard to know exactly where you are in that line. Like for people who are like bodybuilders and they're training a lot, they really have to really start getting refined and like, you know what I mean? If I need to bring up a certain muscle, I need to dedicate like 20 minimum sets to this specific muscle. And so that makes sense, but it's hard to kind of identify like where on the line am I? Do I need to do like the full 20 and like really
Yeah.
But then if you really do focus on it and you can just like chill with everything else, you do notice that progress.
The other thing I just started doing too, and I'm like, there's certain muscles that I don't really care to grow. Is that a dog?
Yeah, I tried to mute my microphone, but I didn't catch it in time. It's this little dog we're watching, and he's randomly barking.
What was I saying? Oh, there's certain muscles that I don't really care about growing much bigger. Like my chest, I don't really care about growing So there's no reason for me to do either a ton of volume or do a ridiculously high intensity. So instead, focus more on strength for that area, and I don't need to do some crazy. Like I don't need to be going close to failure, like super close to failure when I'm doing chest exercises because I don't care. So I started doing that too, and that saves me energy for my other exercises that I do care about. And I felt like that's been helping me too, because normally that's part of the reason I hate hypertrophy workouts is because it's like every exercise I'm just I have to get close to failure, and I'm fucking
hypertrophy of my whole freaking body.
I don't want to.
I don't want to grow everything. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing for your workouts? There was something else I want to talk about.
I am finishing up the Foundations Challenge program, which was good. It was focused on the standard. It's like a main lift. And so I was doing bench again, which I haven't done bench in a while. So that felt good to get. I was really kind of pushing myself in deadlift, bench, and squat. And I was comparing it to when we did the power building, because that was the last time I really pushed my strength. So it was really kind of like seeing where I'm at compared to that, because that's the last time I've kind of been doing like maintenance things in the middle. And I'm pretty satisfied. I'm right around the same. I really haven't lost that. It took a couple weeks to like get to the point where I was like confident in those numbers, but yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. But I want to go into a little calorie deficit as well. And so that was actually something I was thinking about bringing up today in general is I always struggle every single time with like the things I want to be doing in the gym, but the natural effects that eating at a deficit have on me that I like refuse to accept, which a lot of times is my energy is a little lower. And it's not even something I realized, it's not even necessarily the energy is lower in the workout, because what I've noticed is that I can usually like buck up enough to just like get it done and like push the weight, whatever it is, but I recover slower. So like the first couple of weeks, I'm fine. But then I start noticing like, okay, I deadlifted like a week ago. Why am I still having low back soreness? Or why are my shoulders still like
100%? Yeah.
Yeah. And my hips start getting tight. Like I'll get up from the couch at the end of the night. And those are the things I notice where it's just like, my body's like, hey, dude, you're not really giving me a whole lot to work with here. So we're just going to take this slowly and we're not going to allow you to feel your best. Yeah. And so it's like trying to remind myself, like, you know how you're likely going to feel. So set yourself up for success by doing a program that's very doable. And I'm going to be doing Taekwondo 3 days a week. So anyway, so what I'm going to do, this is my plan. I always change things day to day, but my plan right now is to do a 3-day a week, but only 2 of those days actually being like full body with a real true focus in the beginning. So I think I'm going to work on overhead squats because I love the fact that I can do overhead squats and I can't load it up very much because you're holding a barbell overhead. I think I'm going to work on those, but I'm going to do a lift with me program for the squad. So I'm going to give the option for learning how to do a front squat as well. So people can learn on, skill, a little bit more skill focused thing, strength ish. And then the second day, I think like a deadlift day would be like a clean. I think I'm going to work on cleans again for that power. Mm-hmm. And then just have a couple other kind of maintenance mode exercises there. And I think the third day, because I've been having a lot of trouble too, like with skipping a workout, I'll get like my 3 days of Taekwondo and I'll get like 2 days of lifting and I'll feel really guilty about the third day of lifting. And then I'll get it half-assed and I'll be like, okay, I did half of it, but I'm like, okay, maybe this next one I'll do my third day. So it'll be 2 main days that I have to get in every week, but then I'll have a third day that's kind of, it's lighter weight and it's just focused on, I think I'm going to do like back and shoulder focus with a little bit of like maybe a goblet squat in there or something, but like a back and shoulder focus. And then I'm also going to focus on doing pull-ups on top of that. So I'm going to do like a 3, like doing pull-ups every single day kind of thing. Just throw myself up on the bar for like 2 minutes every day.
Are you doing your cut soon?
Yeah, I'm planning to start in like 2 weeks.
Okay. I thought you didn't want to do that again.
I didn't. But didn't I also say maybe I'll change my mind?
I had a feeling it was going to happen.
Okay, but here's I'm going to do it, but I'm not. There's a couple things that are different. The first is I had so much aesthetic success with the Whole Foods challenge that you inspired me to do. This frustration with tracking has actually been floating in my mind for years. I go in and out of it, but it's always floating. So for the first time ever, I am going to attempt a cut, because I always say use tracking as a tool when you're like going to cut. So you can be really specific. You can be really accurate. You can include the things you want. And you can just really be flexible, but like get in and get it done. For the first time ever, I'm going to knowingly go into a calorie deficit without tracking. I'm going to create like a guideline, and it's going to be like a Whole Foods challenge type guideline, but with a little bit more rules around high calorie things like oils or cheese, things like that. Like I think I'm going to be a little bit more strict with things that can add up calories really quickly. And I'm going to create a guide and have, and offer it to the clients too. Like I'm going to coach you through like an intuitive eating, Whole Foods, no tracking, fat loss phase. It's a little bit experimental. I'm a little nervous, but I think there's no reason why it won't work, because some people don't see progress with tracking anyway, because they're not consistent with it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I feel like I want to move more in that direction anyway, because I feel like it works better it's for some people, not everybody, but I feel like it works better to do that instead of always focusing on tracking and tracking. I love.
Well, also the other idea, I was watching a reel, and I already know this, but it's sometimes you see things that remind you and inspire you. But but I was watching a reel about the difference in the calories absorbed between nut butters and nuts. And it was something like the same technical serving size of nuts versus the nut butter. It was like 174 calories of the nut butter got absorbed and only like 76 of the calories from the nuts got absorbed. And that makes sense because when you're chewing the nuts, they have fibers, they have other things that pass through your body. It's harder for your body to break down, blah, blah, blah. The nut butter, and the way this person put it was like, you can basically think of processing as like digesting. They've already done part of the digesting for you. So when you eat it, it's not obviously digesting, but they've already done a lot of what your mouth does, right? They make it so much, any food processing makes it way easier to break down. Even if we're just talking about grounding up nuts, it's a process. Your mouth usually does that. If it's already done, it's so much easier for your body to break down the rest of it. And so even when you're tracking, there's a difference in the way that your body is absorbing these calories. I mean, Oreos, your body's just going to absorb all of that. They are broken down. Those ingredients are broken down the most simple. Like your body, when you get whole foods and you chew them up and you swallow them, your body like knows what to do with them, and it processes out a lot of like the fibers and things. And anyway, so it's just even thinking about that is like,
you can eat so much more food. Do you remember when I was doing the whole food thing? I was tracking too. And I was eating like 1,900 calories, and I was losing weight very slowly, but I was losing weight on 1,900 calories.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost like 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Like without even, and I didn't feel restricted at all.
No, I didn't.
Because,
I felt good.
Yeah, which is funny because a lot of times when I'm tracking and I'm including things that I want to eat, I still feel restricted because I'm like, oh, I can only have 3 Doritos. And just like, okay, I'd almost rather just not eat them because then my palate changes and I don't even want them. And there's always something else available. The thing with tracking is that when you reach the calorie limit, it doesn't matter if it's a chicken breast or an Oreo, you feel like you can't eat anymore because you've reached this calorie limit. But with the Whole Foods, it was like, okay, it's the end of the night. I really want this high protein cereal that I love to eat. I really want to eat that. Nope, it's processed. It's not that it's bad. I'm just avoiding processed foods. I'm going to have an orange or banana instead. It's just something I can have. It wasn't, oh, it's 8 p.m. and I can't eat, or I've hit my calories, I can't eat. It's like you can eat as much as you want. And just that freedom alone.
Yeah. And the other thing too is there were some times where I was like, I don't feel like eating that right now, so I guess I'm just not going to eat.
Yeah.
I think that happened too because processed food is usually, fruit's pretty easy to just grab and eat, but a lot of food, requires some kind of prep, and processed food you can just grab and eat. And other times I'm like, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like having, and it doesn't give you that same craving, so you don't feel like you need food all the time. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I love going in that direction.
Yeah. And also, I just preface, I'm still very satisfied with my body, super happy, proud of myself, all that stuff. But I feel like it was a snowball started and it's halfway down the hill and the snowball's got to stop. Something's got to stop because it started because, I realized because I was thinking, why now? Why February? Of all times, is this the time where I'm starting to really overindulge? And I realized it's because our holidays kind of passed without really doing a lot of holiday things. Like we didn't really celebrate Christmas traditionally. We traveled and then we got back. I'm not going to make cookies for Santa we just didn't, right? But then we had a snow day in like mid-January. And it felt like my kids were both like, oh my gosh, it feels like Christmas. And they had off school and it was like, can we make cookies? And so we made this giant batch of snickerdoodles and I was like, no limits today. I've been doing like Whole Foods. I'm housing these snickerdoodles. I ate the dough while we were making them. I ate the snickerdoodles with milk. Great. And ever since then, I've just been on this. I say yes to everything. Donovan's like, glass of wine? I'm like, absolutely. He's like, second glass of wine? I'm like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, it's like almost everything I'm saying yes to. And my weight's definitely gone back up. I'm like, back up those fine, which I don't care about, right? Because I know that I flux throughout the year and I have whatever. I'm fine with it. But it just feels like this is the right time, especially like taking clients through it as well. I feel like it's a good time to just kind of tighten it up a little bit. But I'm not doing tracking because I don't care enough to be that rigid with it. So if I make no progress, I'll be fine. Yeah. But I know that I will. And so
can I do it with you?
Please.
Yeah.
You totally should.
It'll be a little earlier than I wanted to do a cut, but I'm fine with that.
Well, the other reason I'm starting it earlier, so I'm doing a nice wide window. I'm doing like mid-February to mid-April. So it's like a 12-week time frame, but I'm not actually, the way I'm going to talk to my crew about it is like, you can do it. I would recommend like 8 to 10 weeks, maybe even 2 6-week chunks, and you can organize it however you want within that 12-week time. You can even do the whole 12 weeks if you want. But my family's coming in the middle of March and we're going to go to Japan. And like, so I don't want to, there's a period of time where I'm going to take a break in the middle. So I'm thinking of it as like how I'm going to structure it for myself. So kind of starting now and then have that time and then get back on the train.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking of doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of doing it. Yeah. So good stuff.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Now there's no transition to go back to what I was talking about because
no transitions. Just say the thing.
So we're just gonna go next back to where we were, where I was talking about my workout. The other thing, so I the squats, then the hack squats, then the other exercise I did, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, and I talked about it with you about how much I love this exercise, was a single leg landmine deadlift.
Oh yeah.
And
single leg. Yeah. Single leg deadlift with the landmine. Yeah.
But I do it where I stand perpendicular to it. So I'm not facing the barbell head on. I'm like I would call it perpendicular.
I would call that parallel.
But I'm facing this way. The bar's facing this way. I'm facing this way. So I call that perpendicular.
Oh, I see what you mean. You're facing forward, but the bar is, yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're thinking of me this way, it does feel like I'm parallel, but I don't know. But as long as you understand what I'm saying,
so when Laura is standing, the bar is going long ways in front of her. Yes. Whereas when I do it, I tend to stand at the tip of the bar. So the bar is like pointing at me. Yes. And I hold the tip of it.
Yeah. So there's 2 different ways you can do it.
Which feels perpendicular to me.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Because when I think I would call it perpendicular the way I do it. But anyway, but I do it that way. And what I love, there's so many things I love about this exercise, but one of the things I like about it is I like to add in contralateral loaded exercises every once in a while. So for people listening, that means that you are loading the opposite side of the working side. So for example, for the deadlift, I am picking up the landmine I'm holding the landmine in my right hand, but my left leg is the one doing the work. So it's opposite loading. And what that does is it forces you to have to stabilize because your body wants to twist because you're loaded on the one side, and it lights up all these muscles that don't normally get worked, right? So when I'm doing this exercise, I can feel my obliques light up as I'm doing the exercise, and I can feel my gluteus medius and just all these like stabilizing muscles in my leg that
how about that femoris?
No, it doesn't get worked.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to say it.
Although it was full this morning.
The femoris was gonna pop.
It was gonna pop, but actually, you know what? I actually felt a lot was the vastus medialis, because it I could feel it right near my knee, like right on the inside of my knee. I could feel that part even be full. I'm like, I don't normally feel this here. Anyway, so so you're working all these stabilizing muscles, and it's a good thing to add into your program every once in a while to do those kinds of exercises. You could do it with a kettlebell too and do it that way. But what I love about the landmine is that it helps you stay a little bit more balanced
because it's connected.
So you do feel a little bit more stable, but you're still working all those stabilizing muscles. So you kind of get the best of both worlds because you can load it up a little bit more.
Yeah, for single leg deadlift is really hard for people to do in general.
Yeah, because it's really hard to balance and you twist all over the place, and then you end up like not even working what you're trying to work. So with it being in there,
yeah, I've been doing a half kneeling single arm shoulder press. I like those.
Yeah,
it's similar, like contralateral, loading it up on the opposite side of where you're kneeling.
Yeah,
I can feel like my core. I have to really focus on that stabilization too, because a lot of times I'll want to arch or like lean into my my more stable side. And if you don't, you can really feel that core stability.
Yeah. I was going to say something else, but I don't remember. I say that a lot.
Cool.
But yeah, I also, if you think that you want to add it in, I recommend straps, because the end of the barbell is, fat. And it was really hard for me to hold on to after the weight got heavier and heavier. So I had to get straps to make sure I can hold on to the bar. But you could do it with, I do it with Bulgarian split squats sometimes too, where I load it that way.
That's cool.
But I, just like everything else, just put it in periodically. You don't need to make every exercise this way, because you're not going to build a ton of muscle, doing those exercises, because you're working on all those stabilizers, and you're not going to be able to load it up as much. But it's good for functionality and to prevent injuries and all of that stuff.
Yeah. This is totally random, but for some reason I thought of it. At the end of every Taekwondo class, we do 40 push-ups, 20 leg raises, but I do a leg raise with a reverse crunch. So I'm reverse crunching, lifting my legs up, and then I'm dropping them down. 20 of those, and then 20 crunches, and then 30 squats. And I always skip the squats because it's just a body weight squat. And it's like, there's no point, and I don't want to, and I'm tired. Yeah. And I just did 40 push-ups. I don't want to do these stupid squats.
And he doesn't say anything to you about it?
Last night I was like, I'm not doing those. And he's like, why not? I was like, cause it's too easy, but almost in a way that's like, I don't feel like
it's annoying.
No. Yeah. It's like, there's zero benefit to it. Like I get zero benefit. Sometimes if I feel like the class wasn't as invigorating as normal, I will do the squats, but I'll do them jump squats. So I'll do like 20 or 30 jump squats so that I can like use it as like a hit cycle. But if I'm not doing a hit cycle and I'm already really tired and I just did all those push-ups and I'm done, I don't feel like doing bodyweight squats. And then he was like, how can I make it harder? And I pointed to my friend. I was like, I'll put him on my back and that would make it harder, but I already did that earlier. So I'm just not going to do it. I was like, there's nothing you could say to make me do any squatting today.
Yeah. I mean, it would be beneficial if you never squatted, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
All right. Question.
Okay.
Do you know what the average amount of calories Americans eat per day?
That's a really great question. I'm assuming you do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how that number was founded?
No, but I wonder that, because I was like, I don't know how accurate this is.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they get the number. But
right.
Because it's, it's just a guess.
That matters, right? Are we just like picking something because we kind of are watching general population and assuming, well, if, I see people in the Starbucks line all the time. So if they're getting that Frappuccino and then they're going to, you know what I mean? And just coming up with a number.
It's off of some kind of data, but I don't know where they got the data from.
Yeah, I would like to know that. Mm-hmm. I think that I've heard before that it's in the like 3,500 to 4,000 range. Mm-hmm, yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
What is it?
That 3,500 is around 3,500.
Yeah,
or more.
Which
That's
is
like the low end.
A lot of calories for women.
Oh my
Sorry,
Lord.
Ladies. A man can get away with eating that many calories, but again, if it's that many calories, the average American is not eating an even split of high fiber carbs and protein and fat. This is not a good split of macronutrients, guaranteed.
No. And so just thinking about that, it's so funny to me that we are always trying to find the secret sauce and like demonizing seed oils or carbs or whatever it is, when the fact is you're eating 3,500 calories and you're probably not getting, we don't move like we used to either. So we're eating way more than we used to, and we don't move. And we're like, well, this is the reason why people are overweight. This is the reason why people are overweight. No, it's because you're eating 3,500 calories. That's why you're overweight. Yeah. It's so simple.
Likely of crap.
So hard. And we make it so overcomplicated. I mean, and the other thing that's funny is when people say, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, I don't think you will, but when people say
let's find out.
That it's not just about eating less and moving more, like that won't help people, like eating less and moving more.
Right.
it's like, no, that's exactly what people need to do, is they need to move more
It's
and eat less.
I just talked about that on a podcast I recorded for my own
Oh,
podcast.
did you?
I was literally like 5 like most overrated things, and one of them was like eat less, move more.
So you think it's overrated to eat less and move more?
Because I think that's generally true, but I also think that it's misunderstood. Like, yeah, people need to eat less and move more, but a lot of the people that we're talking to are already trying to exercise and they're already trying to eat better. And so these are people going into exercise eating like salads. They're taking it way too extreme. They're like, oh, I need to go run and like take this boot camp class, and then I need to really like barely eat anything. And like, that's not it. You don't actually need to eat less. You need to eat more optimally. You don't need to eat less volume of food. You need to eat totally different foods, and like the volume of them needs to be different. Like, because the things you're eating, the reason you're eating 3,500 calories is because of the foods you're eating. They're adding up to 3,500 calories.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
I agree and disagree. I think there's two angles to look at it.
Yeah. I think just generally in the general population, that's literally why people are fat, is because they eat too much and they don't move. I've heard Jordan Syatt say before, like, if your dog was overweight, what would you do? You would feed them a little bit less food and you would take them for walks. Like, why is this such an argument of people saying, that, no, that doesn't work? No, it does work. You just, it's people aren't consistent long enough with it. I 100% agree with
you. I think it depends on the population you're talking to. So I think a lot of the people that are probably this data is coming from, these 3,500 calories of these like average Americans, these aren't necessarily the people who are doing things and wondering why they can't lose weight. These are usually people who are like sitting around doing jack shit. And those people, yeah, you need to eat less and you need to move more. And that simple formula, even if you had just ate less McDonald's and went for a walk, would work.
Yeah, just a walk.
You know what I mean?
Block. Yeah.
But when that message is one being proliferated with women who are like menopausal and struggling with the belly and going to Orange Theory and eating salads, and they're like, all right, I just need to eat less and move more. It's like, no, okay, now we've gone beyond. That's actually not accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from with, there's different ways to view it.
Yeah. Especially when you think of like when we grew up, because it was like pushed on you to, stop eating, basically. Just don't eat at all.
Well, and also when people think, I would argue even like a quote unquote average American who is not really engaged in a health fitness lifestyle or trying necessarily, eat less to them means eat less often, eat less food. When in reality, they could probably eat all day, but change what they're eating and less calories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you could change it to eat less calories instead of just eat less, because it's not about eating less like volume of food. It's about eating less calories. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these people are eating 2 times a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3. Or snacking. There's a lot of snacks in there too.
Most people underestimate how many calories they eat. And the same thing that I saw. So I saw that it was like 3,500 calories is what the average American eats, but they think they're eating 2,600 calories.
Mm-hmm.
So they're off by 900 calories.
Yeah.
So people think they're eating a lot less than they do because they don't think about every little piece of whatever that they're putting in their mouth, or they don't realize that bag of chips that they ate was like 1,000 calories. They think maybe it's 500 calories or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Or the serving size of what they ate.
Yeah. What do you think of putting, you know how a lot of like fast food places now and even like chain restaurants are putting the calorie amounts on their menus?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that?
I don't think that's a bad thing, because it gives you some awareness around what you're eating. So I don't really have like a huge opinion on it. But then you kind of know, because sometimes like some meals are like 2,000 calories.
Yeah. I think it's good. I've heard people say like, oh, that's like disordered, and we shouldn't just be thinking about the calories. And it's like, no, because guaranteed, like you said, people don't know. They're not aware. And many people will walk into Cheesecake Factory and order the linguine without them thinking, oh, it's shrimp and a light sauce and a pasta, and this is going to be a good choice. But then when they look at the menu and see that it's 1,300 calories, they're going to choose, they're probably going to look at the burger and be like, oh, that's 1,300 calories, but the burger's 800. Oh, I'm going to get the burger. You know?
Yeah. I appreciate
they'll make a different
it when
choice.
I see it. Yeah.
Huh?
I appreciate it when I see the calories
Yeah.
so that I know. Like, wow, this
Definitely.
thing is loaded, must be loaded with butter or oil
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm not prepping it, so I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
So it's giving
they
some
don't know.
idea.
I had a friend that worked at the Cheesecake Factory back when we were like in our, early 20s or something. And she would tell me, I have seen so many times like the meal come out of the oven or come out or whatever, and they plate it. And right before the server comes to take it away, they just take a bottle of like oil and gunk, 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 like just pour it on top because it gives it that nice fresh glaze. And she's like, there's no way that's counted in the calories like that because it was Cheesecake Factory. They had all the calories there. It's like, no way that's counted in there.
That's the other thing I was going to say is that I don't know how accurate those numbers are either it's going to be a little different for each plate. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But that brings me to the TikTok that I sent you.
Oh yeah.
Talking about, he was talking about Alzheimer's and saying that he was comparing. So first he said people that eat predominantly like a high fat diet. So he was like, so they eat a lot of avocado and fish and nuts and seeds. And he's like, they have a 42% less chance of getting Alzheimer's. And then he said people who eat, a higher protein diet. So he's like, think of like a caveman diet. They have a 21%.
Of course, you have to say think of a caveman diet because you're trying to get people to think paleo without having to say
yeah.
Oh, think of the caveman. Do you know that people never actually lived in caves? That's a whole other thing. We call them cavemen. They didn't live in caves.
They didn't live in caves?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They lived in prairie lands. But it's just because we have pictures in caves that we just go, oh, the men of the caves. And
why a cave was like really dark. I don't know if you'd want to live in one. Anyway, he said that they have a 21% less chance of getting Alzheimer's. And then he was like, and then we compare that to the standard American diet where you're eating. And then he was listing all these like processed foods. He did list like potatoes and rice in there too. But like a lot of like, standard American diet isn't whole food carbs, Right. And he was saying how they have like a 400% higher chance of getting increased risk of getting Alzheimer's. And I'm like, you can't do that. Like you can't just say like fat and that like a predominantly fat diet, but it's all whole foods, predominantly protein diet, but it's all whole foods. And then compare it to carbs that are all processed. That's not how that works. So then they demonize carbs and they say that carbs are the reason why people get Alzheimer's. And it's like, no. Most likely it's one of the reasons is because they're eating 3,500 calories, which is way over what they need. And the other is it's not just the carbs, it's the whole package of what they're eating. They're eating mostly processed foods that don't have the same nutrient as all the other foods that he was talking about.
I want to take back the word carbs. I feel like we need to make it a mission. I want to take that word back. I feel like it's so raked through the mud and misunderstood. And even people who think they know about fitness are all like, it's the carbs. Like, it's not carbs.
No.
As a macronutrient, carbohydrates. Do you know what the main macronutrient of broccoli is? It's carbs.
Yeah, it's carbs. And does anybody ever say broccoli? Oh, there's some people do say that's bad for you, but most people know that broccoli is good for you. And most of the healthy foods are carbs.
Yeah.
It's like, so I want to see that same, like that study, whatever, comparing all those diets with a diet that's mostly like fruits and vegetables and do the same thing. And I bet you wouldn't get the same results.
No, you
fruits
wouldn't.
And vegetables might even beat the protein out,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because you're now fiber is going to be, well, I'm wondering how, because
he was a lot of micronutrients.
Sure. But his argument in that was that Alzheimer's is now being called like diabetes type 3 because of how connected they think it is to basically like insulin response and sugar. So that was like kind of the point of like the carbs argument. But we even see though, if we're talking about like, going on things like diabetes, type 2, which is a controllable one. Type 1 is the one you're like born with. Your body just doesn't make insulin. But if it's diabetes type 2, we can reverse it when we adjust, nutrition. and PCOS and other things that we think it's like, oh, we need to reduce carbs. We don't actually need. Well, you do reduce carbs, but you reduce it not by avoiding carbs. You reduce it by eating whole foods that have carbs and increasing protein and fat. But it's not about getting rid of carbs. It's about balancing your macros and having other nutrients present and eating whole foods.
Yeah. And I would argue that a lot of the micronutrients that you'd get in a lot of the whole food carbs, like fruits and vegetables, would have some protective effect against a lot of different things.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're big on that, like the protective effect of all these like vitamins and minerals and nutrients.
I think a lot of people are nutrient deficient even though we eat so much food, and that's a problem.
That's a huge problem.
We eat 3,500 calories, but we don't get enough micronutrients.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
I forgot. I read a book, or I started reading it. I don't think I finished it, about micronutrients. And there's this woman I follow on Instagram, and she created a whole like diet where she calls it like the nutrivore diet, I think is what she called it. And it's basically like trying to get as much nutrients from your food as possible. And it's like right up my alley, you know, like, I love it. Right. And so she wrote a book on it. And so I got the book, but I didn't read the whole thing. But she was talking about how it's like 4 or 5, like most people are deficient in like 4 or 5 micronutrients or something crazy. And it's like, how? We eat so much food. But I know how. It's because we eat the wrong foods.
Could you imagine eating 3,500 calories of whole foods?
Oh my God, no.
Be so full.
Yeah, you would be. No, you couldn't. You would.
No, I could down that at McDonald's in one sitting. No problem.
It would have to be like, I'm trying to think of a whole food that would be easily. I can't think of one.
What did I see? I saw something. I can't remember the exact thing, but it made me think about this. It was I think it was something my son was watching. I think it was like a Mr. Beast thing or something like that, where I want to say it was a grilled cheese sandwich where they buttered the toast and they put cheese in the middle, and they made like a typical grilled cheese sandwich, but they made like 50 of them. And then they smashed them together. They used like some kind of machine to mash them together into like a cube. And then he like was eating it. And it was some stupid thing. It was like geared towards like kids that want to watch stupid crap on TV.
Yeah, like my son.
But I was thinking about like, even a grilled cheese sandwich, which is so delicious, like how hard it would be to eat like 50 of them, but how many calories that is when you butter the toast and then you put cheese on it, like how many calories it is. Now imagine taking 50 of them, which is a lot. You would struggle to hold those in your arms, but then you compact them down to this little thing that you can just like bite into. And it's so many calories. So just that general idea of like how you can pack calories into like a small thing.
That's like potato chips, basically.
Yeah.
It's like because imagine eating all those potatoes that are in a potato. What is it? Like 20 something potatoes are in a bag of potato chips.
Could you imagine?
No.
No.
Like you can't sit down and eat like without butter, without anything.
Just potatoes.
Potatoes? No. I can't even, like one is hard. You know,
well, they say, have you heard that same thing with tortilla chips? Like we will sit at a thing and eat like tortilla chips, and you'll eat like 20 tortillas.
Oh, wow.
But like, could you imagine just like if somebody handed you 20 corn tortillas, would you just eat them?
No.
No.
It's so weird.
Super weird. So yeah, if we haven't made our case for eating whole foods.
Whole foods for the win for so many reasons.
Oh my God, so many reasons.
You're going to get more nutrients. You're also going to change your palate. So you're not going to want the other foods, the dopamine stuff we were talking about the one episode.
Yeah.
You know, all of it. It's not going to be this big hit of dopamine to mess up your whole system.
I want to like find a way to like make it a rule. So like if you slip up and eat a potato chip, you must go cook 20 potatoes and eat all of them. And if you do it, you can have more chips. Like, you must go get a bag of corn tortillas and eat 20 of them.
That's the funny thing too, is like, there's more calories in it, but it's still easier to eat.
Well, then you also have to take a bottle of oil and just pour it into your mouth after you eat the 20 potatoes.
Oh no, that ruins it.
No.
But that's the weird part is like 20 potatoes have less calories on them than 20 potatoes that have been,
Of chips turned into chips. Yeah.
Yeah. With all the oil and stuff, but they're so much easier to eat.
Yep.
More calories. Yeah. Whole foods.
Yep.
That's all I got.
It's funny because the problem I have with my daughter currently, it's like I feel like the opposite problem that a lot of people have with their kids is that she'll eat, but the only thing she ever wants to eat is raw vegetables and salad. Like that's all she wants to eat is like raw vegetables and salad. And sometimes I'll be able to talk her into a smoothie, but she doesn't want any yogurt in it, any milk. She just wants strawberries and honey and water.
So she doesn't get any protein.
It is so hard to get protein in this child every once in a while. But then she likes bready things. So she likes like bagels and cream cheese. And cream cheese has hardly any protein in it, but it's like, the bagel has more protein than the cream cheese, but she's like, Mommy, it's dairy. I'm like, I know, but it's just mostly fat.
Yeah.
So it's hard. So she's on the bagels and cream cheese right now. And so she's eating that for lunch, but I really struggle, to get like protein in her.
Yeah. My daughter likes milk. If it wasn't for the milk, she would have no protein because she eats a lot of berries. She eats a lot of carbs. She's a carb girl.
Yeah.
But at least she has milk twice a day. She's still on that because it was something we did when she was little where we would give her milk when she'd get up. And then after her nap, she would get another one. And now she's used to that and she gets in these routines. So now it's like a forever thing. And we still have to warm it up like we did when she was little. Like we will put it in like a pan of warm water and warm it up. And we still have to do that before we give it to her. Otherwise, she'll throw it and be like, nope, I don't want the cold milk. I want the warm milk.
Yeah. She'll throw it.
Yeah, she throws it like, nope, nah, I don't want that.
Too cold, not optimal temperature.
Yeah. We're lucky, though, because she drinks the milk. That's where we put her vitamins in there. So we have like this powdered vitamin and we put that in there. And then that's where we also put her medicine. So we'll squirt her medicine there because she won't take that.
She can't taste it?
No, she'll just drink it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not, yeah. There was something else I used to put in there too that she didn't taste. And sometimes we put vitamin B6 in there.
Yeah.
I just didn't put fish oil in there before and she was like,
I've done that. My daughter's super noticeable about things. I've done the fish oil and she's like, was not happy.
Yeah.
I told her this morning though, I was like, I think because she's 10 too. So it's like she has more authority over her food and like, all these things. But I was telling her, I was like, I'm literally like, I don't want to make you stressed about it or think about it, but you need to be getting in protein and you need to be getting in like more calories in general too, because the things she'll eat, she barely eats anything in one sitting. She's just one of those people. Like my son can house like 3 pieces of pizza and she's like, she doesn't like to feel too full. So she eats little amounts at a time. So she's only eating little amounts of something that's so low calorie, like a salad. I find myself like doubling up the oil that I'm putting in the dressing because I just want her to have calories in her, because then she won't eat again for like 2 hours and she'll eat another small amount of food. And so I was like telling her, I was like, I think you need to start drinking like a smoothie every day. And it's something that you're just going to have to do, because I know you don't always want to have, she doesn't like especially when she's not feeling well, which her belly seems to always hurt, whether it's from other reasons or anxiety, but her belly's always bothering her. And whenever her belly's bothering her, she doesn't want things that are creamy, like something about it just like sets her off. And I'm like, even if you don't want milk or yogurt or something in your smoothie, I think you need to start having it as like something you just have to do, because you need to make sure that those like nutrients are covered. And she was actually like, yeah, you're right. She was kind of like, it's kind of like brushing your teeth at night. You don't really want to do it, but you do it anyway because you have to. I was like, yeah, or like showering in the morning. Like, exactly. I think you just have to start, having that and like prioritizing it.
Because otherwise your teeth will fall out.
Yeah.
But the food matters too with your, so your teeth don't fall out.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. Caleb is, because of his medicine, he's not as hungry as he used to be. And he used to like eat nonstop. He just wouldn't stop eating, but he was still skinny. And this brings me to another topic. I'll talk about it in a minute, but yeah, he's still like super skinny. And now he doesn't eat enough, and I'm constantly like, you want some to eat, you want some to eat. I'm constantly shoving food in his face. And the other problem is he doesn't always make the best food choices, so it's really hard to make sure he's getting enough nutrients. But I never had to worry about him like overeating. I think he just moves around a lot. But that brings me to another topic that it's crazy how much genetics does play a role in your body type. Like when I just look at my children, Caleb is like super thin, right? He's just very little fat on him at all. And my daughter is a little bit she's not fat or overweight or anything, but she definitely has a lot more fat on her than he does just naturally. Like they have different body types, and I'm pretty sure that Caleb is, has his dad's genes and Juliana has mine, because I was a chubbier little one when I was really little. I was a little chunker. When I got older, I wasn't. But yeah, I think she has more of my genes, and it's crazy how much that actually affects the way our body like holds on to fat and things. And it's just a good example, just looking at my children, how different they are, even though she eats probably, well, now she probably eats just as much as he does, but generally she's not like she doesn't overeat. Like she doesn't eat a ton of food. She just naturally holds on to it a little bit more. And she moves around a lot too.
Well, what's interesting about that too is that, and how it like proliferates. So yes, but also like that we have the ability without even knowing it to kind of change our genetics. So like they've shown that when somebody is already overweight and they have a baby, versus if that overweight person loses weight and then has a baby, even if they gain weight again after having the baby, that the baby has a different gene expression of like whatever the gene is that has them like gaining weight or prone to gain weight.
So you're saying it's my fault? That's what you're saying?
No. I'm not saying that's always true and that's always the reason. There are definitely things that are just genetic body types, right? Where we hold fat and how. But there's also this other layer of like gene expression and how it actually can like adjust. And I'm obviously not speaking to it too intelligently because I don't have it in front of me and it was a long time ago that I read it, but I just find that fascinating because it's one of those things that like it then starts proliferating, because it's obviously Juliana isn't a healthy, chubby kids is not like necessarily a bad thing, but there is a certain, line that gets crossed when we have kids that are very overweight, that also don't move and that also don't eat healthy. And then we have and then it proliferates. So you have people who then are very overweight and then they have kids and then they might have these natural things, but then the things that maybe could have been adjusted if the parent had been smaller or leaner before they had the baby. So I just think that that's very interesting as well.
It is interesting. And it's what I like about it though, is it means that you can always change things. It doesn't have to be a certain way and you're not stuck a certain way. There's always a way to, change what, Yeah. So I think our bodies like to prepare us for whatever. So if you're, if let's say I was working out like a crazy person right before I got pregnant, or even while I was pregnant, my body thinks, okay, we need muscle in this world that we're living in right now. So when you have a baby, they're probably going to be, they might put on muscle a little bit easier.
We're going to have this, we're going to give birth to a muscle baby.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. It's funny because in Taekwondo yesterday, I feel like I always bring that up, but it's just so relevant. My friend said and I already know this, but it's just funny when he pointed out, because I was my son had just had his class and then I was jogging and he goes, you and Joaquin like run the same. You have like the same way that you run and the same like body. And I was like, yup, I already know that. Like his bone structure is mine, and which is my dad's, which is funny because like my dad is obviously a man. I'm a woman. My son is going to be a man. So I'm obviously a woman. So I have like the things that women have that, my body doesn't look exact. There's a bone structure thing that I can't quite explain. And even my husband's family will look at my son since he was like 2 or 3 and be like, oh my God, he looks like Richard, who's my dad. It's like, there's something about the way he walks. There's something about the way that he is. I'm like, yup, because my dad's got this kind of goofy, I don't know, like we just got it. Like he's a Gibbons, we say.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caleb doesn't have my body type at all. Juliana's going to be tall, but I think like she's built like me. Like she has thicker legs and, you know, she's a little thicker.
Yeah, I don't know what, because that's the thing too with girls is like with guys, yeah, there's some changes that can happen in puberty, but puberty will totally determine a lot of things too, like where she holds her weight, how much, how big her chest is, or hips, you know, all of that stuff. So it really like, I look at my daughter, I'm like, I have no idea what you're going to look like. You know what I mean? Because there's so, with even me, the difference between me and the way my body is, but like my son kind of takes after me in bone structure, but she doesn't. She more walks like my husband, but my husband's very like, you know, the way people walk, a lot of times you can see like where their, you know, femurs attached and their hip sockets and all that kind of stuff. You can kind of see like takes after more. But then my husband is not overweight. He's very fit, but a lot of his family is overweight. And then I look at like boob size and like hip width, and it's all very different. And I just really have no idea. Like I know that she takes after him in bone structure, but in everything else, I have no idea. Like she could be any end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It's interesting. All right. Good pod, especially for not having very many topics.
Yeah. We just kept going.
I had a pick a number 1 through 5, but I'll save it for next week.
Oh, okay.
We're also going to do red flags and green flags in the industry, right?
In the
next
industry,
week.
Or just picking a coach?
Well, so I was thinking like picking a coach, picking a trainer, but maybe also picking a program. So you want to start your fitness and nutrition lifestyle. Here are some green flags and red flags on any of these like things you might be considering starting, whether it's hiring a coach or starting a program.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to talk about 3 exercises that will just strip fat off your body faster than anything you've ever seen, but we'll save that for next time too.
Yeah, that's a good one. So so much coming up next week.
Totally joking.
Oh, I thought we were really going to do it.
No, imagine that's how we talked. Like, just do these 3 exercises and you'll strip fat off your body faster than going in an ice bath.
That would be faster than an ice bath. Wait, there's something that strips fat faster than an ice bath?
Yeah, I know.
I'll be there next week to find out what it is.
What's that guy's name? Whatever his name is. Brecca. What's his name? Whatever his name is. That's what he says. That the ice bath. Yeah, Gary Brecca. Is Gary, right?
Oh.
That the ice bath will strip fat off of your body faster than anything he's ever seen. We
shouldn't have any problems then with the standard American diet of 3,500 calories.
No, you just go into an ice bath afterwards.
Ice baths exist.
Right? So. Exactly. It's not that hard, people.
Society these days. All right. Thanks for listening. Like, share, comment, all that jazz. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.